Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 364. Let's see what shows up here. So, nothing too new. As far as I can remember, none of these champions were too involved in the changes in the 2.11 patch. So I'm just going to go back and do our kind of standard thing to where we draft the champion that's been the furthest back in time, as long as it isn't Thresh. I have no desire to actually come in here and try and draft any of these Thresh cards. These Thresh pools tend to be abysmally bad. And kind of, I guess I talked about it on the tier list video. Kind of the problem I have with Thresh and the way that they try to assemble these Thresh card pools. It's through no fault of Riot. I mean, they're putting reasonable card pools together that would have been completely fine if we were playing like Magic. It's just there's so many ways to generate value in this game that just sitting around and trading one for one is not a good strategy. And so, historically, like throughout the aeons of playing Magic Draft, assembling this deck that has like 8 or 10 just like direct removal spells, a handful of ways to get card advantage, a few big dudes, and then some medium plays throughout the game. That was always like a reasonable deck. But you can't just sit around and play like this theme of trading one for one in Expedition. There's just way too many ways to go super over the top, whether or not it's like Ravoon or Invokes or even just like with the Scrap Heap deck, if we manage to pick up a Rummage or something. It's just so super easy to get really far ahead in cards that just trading one for one isn't good enough. And especially here, whereas in Magic, you might be able to play like a Tear or a 2 mana or a Murder at 3 mana. Playing Vengeance at 7 mana is a real investment, even with the addition of spell mana. And so I'm just not a huge fan of chasing down that type of strategy. But here, either Draven or Diana, I'm pretty okay with. I feel like Draven is probably the champion that we've drafted most recently. I don't remember if our most recent Draven trial was a build around or not. Yeah, it was Draven and Kindred exactly 3 trials ago. And so Diana it will be. And so I haven't gotten my way to Diana as far as the Expedition Helper and Luminous Dusk goes. And so I'll just get this pulled up on the spreadsheet. And so if we make our way over to Diana, I don't believe too much has actually changed with this card pool. It looks like they added in Fused Firebrand for whatever reason. And then there's Heavens Aligned, which is a new card. So not a lot of changes there, but otherwise this looks pretty similar to what it was before the 2.11 patch. And so whether or not we actually draft around Diana will be seen, but if we are looking to draft the Nightfall deck, the big things that are strong there and the things that are strong with Diana are the ones, the twos, and the 3 drops. And so it's a little tough to see when we're having to talk about this just on the spreadsheet, but having, Lunari Duskbringer, things like Spacey Sketcher, and then I feel like there's another 1 drop. You have the Flight, but he's not a good one. And the 1 drop slot, but then in the twos, you also have the things like your Mountain Goats, and then the Nightfall Elusive, and then in your threes, you have big cards like Crescent Guardian and Lunari Priestess. Kind of the downfall with this, though, there's not a whole lot of good top end as far as uh, Diana is concerned. You want to be picking up the Cloven Way. You want to be picking up Eclipse Dragon, which doesn't look like they actually exist in the Luminous Dusk card pool anymore. And then there's just no removal spells either. And so you're kind of having to go out of your way to pick up things in that sense. And then also, if you're wanting to draft Nightfall as hard and tough as possible, then you do need to pick up a Shadow Isles champion so that you can find the likes of Doom Beast and Unspeakable Horror. But let's see what happens here. At least the big thing with Diana and all 3 of these cards here in general is just they're all quality 2 drops. We can just throw these within any card pool and be reasonably happy with it. Okay. And so here, I think we're just going to have to take the Leona. But to at least take a moment to stop and talk about these other ones. I don't think we're going to get any real value out of Pike here. I don't like Pike in general. I think he's pretty abysmally terrible. And then in the event that we are playing Pike, I either want to be with Shurima so that we have access to Call of the Pack to put Pike on top of our deck, or I want to be in either Shurima or Piltover for predicts. And so there's just no combos as far as Pike is concerned with a Targon champion. Pushing over here, that leaves us these others too. If we want to pick up the Shadow Isles champion, just as a means to find the Nightfall cards, then we need to take this Callista. Retribution Callista does have some changes. I know I got to her on the Expedition Helper. Let me see if there's which one this was. I was trying to see. Yeah, this was the actual Shark Chariot half, and so I did want to call out Retribution Callista that this may be a thing that we see in the future. You know, with this Callista being an ephemeral centric kind of thing, and so the Shark Chariot lives here. Of course, Blighted Caretaker's here. Blighted Caretaker is fantastic in terms of Diana as well. But looks like there's no Nightfall cards, and in general, some of these cards are just kind of like real turds. And I don't really like drafting Rekindler based decks when we're drafting the Nightfall strategy. And so, at least on the upside, this is an extremely low curve paired up with this Callista. And then our other choice would be to take this Leona. If we take Leona, this is going to pivot towards being a Leona deck. We would look to be a Daybreak deck that has the likes of Diana in it. And I think that's probably the stronger choice of what we're going to be able to do here. Leona does tend to be more of a high roll champion. We don't currently have any Daybreak cards in our deck. Oh, sorry, I thought a kitty was going to try to jump on me. Come here. Come on. This is way more important than the draft video. Hang on. Oh, come on. Okay. Oh. All right, there we go. We've acquired a kitty. But nonetheless, the Daybreak aspects we don't currently have of any at this point in time. And then both Trouble Bubble and Zeebles are pretty weak. But, you know, we do end up with some invokes, so Starry Scamp might be okay. The Sky Shadows is a 3-attack 2-drop, even if we don't have the Nightfall cards in our hand to get this bonus. So I do want to take a quick peek at the Solar Winds Leona as well. Leona, where are you at? That's the single faction one, and here we go. And so, again, she is, looking to really build around Daybreak. Oh, look, Solari Sunhawk lives here. I don't know how easy that is to see in the video since I can't really highlight from where we're at here, but Solari Sunhawk has finally made his way to Expedition. Good job on you, buddy. That's the 2/3 bird that Daybreaks to stun our opponent's strongest unit. But again, as far as Leona goes, we're usually looking to just draft as many Daybreak-based cards as we can. It tends to be kind of a mid-rangey style of deck. Ideally, you'll be able to play the Soldier on 1, the Shield Bearer on 2. Also, the Sunhawk on 2 now is a thing, although it wouldn't be quite as good. The Daybreak Invoke is a rare, which we'd be seeing at the 3 mana space, and then Leona flipped on 4 is kind of the ideal thing that she'll be pulling off. In my opinion, Ravoon is the big build around in this style of deck, letting you play your Daybreaks multiple times in the same turn or as beyond your first spell. And then we do want to be picking up the likes of one of the Leona flip card, the Daybreak or Demacia, whatever that one's called. We'll be looking to pick that up as well. But welcome to the squad, Leona. Okay, we're at least getting a pretty good start right from the beginning with the Sunhawk and the Zenith Blade. Extremely good start. That kind of makes up for a bit of my worries with trying to tackle this Leona. Okay, and here, the Solari Soldier is an incredibly important early game play. This is a very easy pickup to try and get the density of Daybreaks that we need. Okay, things are just going easy today. We got our Sunburst. This is the only removal spell that we'll realistically have access to, so I'm glad to pick it up. And then these Sunhawks are going to be great. This is going to be some good stall. I'm pretty stoked to be picking those up. Oh man, this is. I'm curious if something has happened here, in the sense that if we're just high rolling and having all these Daybreaks show up, or if something happened with the numbers. But these are super strong here, and we are seeing just tons of Daybreaks all over the place. Okay, and so our first real decision here is do we want the Shield Bearer or the Priestess? I think we just have to take the Priestess. I do really value these early game Shield Bearer type plays highly, but the Priestess is rare and a bit more challenging to find. So I feel like that's a nice little pickup there. And okay, it took us to pick 8 to just find some garbage, but we have finally found our garbage pack. And as far as these go, I think like the Tyari Zeebles are the worst. Those are pretty ignorable. And if we're ignoring that, I think we just have to take the Earth Elemental Ibex. Horrorfly is just basically unplayable, although the White Flame Protector is better than both the Ibex and the Earth Elemental. At least these give us some overwhelms. Leona tends to struggle with closing out games. Excuse me, so those overwhelms help quite a bit in that sense, but uh, I think we might get a little bit of usage out of those nonetheless. Okay, and then here, I'm almost tempted to try Heavens Aligned. This seems much better. You know, if we've played a Daybreak card, and then we're playing this as the Nightfall to add a Daybreak, like adding a random Daybreak is a pretty low value proposition though, right? And so let's just come over here and take the Sunforger along with the first combat trick. We are pretty light on spells at this point. Okay, well, interesting set. I do, of course, like the Eye of Rahorok. This is a pretty good game closer. Again, what tends to happen is we'll get this big board of like Leonas and an Ibex and a Ravoon, and then they can't actually deal any damage, and so you need to either give them Overwhelm or just stun all of our opponent's units with the Eye. So it is pretty strong, but I'm leaning towards just taking the combat trick down here since we are pretty lacking in spells. This one's actually pretty close. Sure. If the copy would come down on our turn. Okay. We probably just can't pass on an Eye, even though it's not super exciting here. Okay, this is a very easy Zenith Blade along with the Daybreak Priestess. Super easy take. Here's our third Daybreak Priestess. She's paired up with some garbage in the Stellacorn, but hopefully we can trade that away. I would rather have the Priestess and garbage as opposed to White Flame Protector and slightly better garbage. This is I don't know, like recycling as opposed to as opposed to the Stellacorn just being garbage. So not a tough pickup. Here again, this has been a pretty straightforward draft. We just have another Zenith Blade here as our third one. I'm not really looking for any more Zenith Blades beyond number 3. And then exactly what we needed here. Our late game is extremely lacking up to this point, and so picking up Eclipse Dragon is extremely important here. Oh, buddy. Oh, could not have snapped that one up quicker. I would love to trade away the Sky Shadows for the Sunhawk, but this is like exactly where we're hurting, is just having some way to close out the game, and Eclipse Dragon is just exactly what we need. Neregro. Okay, I'm happy with how this has come together. And so, let's take a peek at what we have to turn premium. I feel like what am I doing here? Those are clicked in either regions onto Targon. I feel like the Sunhawk probably hasn't been turned premium yet. Yeah, there we go. You didn't get to make your way into any of the decks before the release of Rise of the Underworld, and so I'm pretty happy to get to try this out. And all signs point to it being extremely good. Right, here we go. Yeah, that was a pretty nice high roll. Those Daybreak cards typically don't show up in such fervor. It might just be like that pick 3 was just like the super high roll with the 2 Daybreak cards in it, and maybe that really got the ball rolling with our Solar Winds and our Radiant Dawn style packs, but super happy with how that turned out. Not a bad start. We're not going to be powering up a Leona anytime soon, but we do have a 2-drop along with a Priestess. It's good enough to get the early game taken advantage of. The likes of Echo Teemo are fairly scary, depending on what he's able to put onto the board. Our only interactive card is Sunburst, and so we do tend to struggle against these Teemo decks just because we don't have any way to try and stop what he's doing. But here, I think the Shield Bear is probably a little bit aggressive. We're not racing down a Leona flip. We're not even super likely to find a Leona this game. So we can just slow our roll a little bit as far as that's concerned. Put your claws right in my shirt, kitty. Okay, here's at least our means to get removal spells if we want them. Not a bad set. I'm leaning towards just taking the Golden Sister as the means to get the lifesteal and to get an elusive that can block a Teemo. So it's not the most effective now, but I think in terms of game plan, the Golden Sister is going to be exactly what we're looking for. So this turn, touch awkward. I can't figure he wants to actually attack with any of this, but I do want to get the Sunhawk down and put a Zenith Blade on it next turn. Oh gosh, she got stuck. Let go of my shirt, kitty. All right, she's ready to get down. All right, that's one of life's big perks to having a cat. Just jump and rip your headphones off. But okay, looks like all the sound levels you hear. If that's our biggest problem of the day, then we've had a pretty good day today. All right, now that we're drawing a ton of cards every turn, I'm not super opposed to just letting the Daybreak slide on our Zenith Blade, and we just have to start throwing down cards now. And so we can Zenith Blade the bird, still have some decent attacks this turn, but we have to get stuff going now that he's really getting the puff caps in order. But I do suspect this Golden Sister is still going to be pretty good. We have a couple ways to boost her health to help her survive a combat. So if she's out here gaining 8 health, that's just humongous against these puff cap decks. The attack with the Sky Shadows isn't that great. I don't want to just trade it for his Zonite Urchin. I'd like to, stop his attacks from the Peddler and the Ballistic Bot. Okay, that's good. Sneakiest of Zeebles. Here we go, some more lifesteal. Good stuff. This should hopefully be just too much for him to overcome. We got the flip. Not bad. Not bad. At least have a trade for it if he wants to attack. Yeah, we're only up to 10 puff caps, so his Teemo's not going to be flipped. Let's take the Teemo hit if we want. Okay, he's not even offering it up. Okay. But I think this is okay. Again, I think our big deal here is having an effective lifesteal plan. We get to gain a ton of this back. This is not looking super strong for us since we can't add enough units to the board this turn. Kind of like the real pain as far as what's happening here, but it should at least get ourselves back up to full health. That works out well for us. We're back up to 20. I mean, I do worry that he's just going to open on us next turn and get this Teemo hit in. If he doesn't open, then we have a lot of options for next turn. The Zeebles would be extremely good. But if he's mapping now, he's just going to open on us. About to get blasted by these. Yeah, I think we're just going to be a little bit too slow this game. He's at least being greedy and we get the Zeebles here. That could be a big game breaker for us. All right. Probably have to save Diana for next turn. All around pretty awkward still. Dude, this, well, we probably need to get rid of him. This is less damage. The block here keeps from getting a time trick since he won't strike anything. Then we're just going to take 3 from the Peddler. Can get the Zeebles up to 5 health if we block the Peddler, but then we still have to deal with this thing next turn. I think this is okay, though. We can try and take something down with Diana. I'd probably have to chase down Teemo, but... Okay. So we're gonna have to start with... Oh no, that was a total misclick. I wanted to start with the Zenith Blade onto Golden Sister, just to gain another point of health. This game's probably just done now. But the idea was we had the mana to Zenith Blade our Golden Sister, then we could play Diana, then we could play Eclipse Dragon. And Eclipse Dragon has a lot of tools to help dig us out of this mess, but... I think we were probably at only like a, like a 10% chance to win this one, but with that misclick, that probably took us right down to 0. Brutal, brutal. Gross. That's always a tough matchup. Like, Leona really struggles against Teemo, and she really struggles against Green Glade Duo decks just because she can't come in there and interact, but we should have been much closer in that game than we ended up. Alright, as far as these go, I'm not really excited about Sneaky Zeebles, but I don't want to stack up on too much top end. I would like to get rid of some of these Crystal Ibexes, but I think the Eclipse Dragon's probably just too good to pass up. Don't really want any of these Zeebles. Okay, well, let's make up for that. That was a bit sloppy. Not our finest moment, but I still think we're strong enough to do some damage here as we immediately run into a Green Glade Duo deck. So it kinda is what it is, I guess. Alright, but we probably have to just stop with these. I want to keep Paddle Star as just a horrible way to kill off a Green Glade Duo, and then I think the rest of these will be okay. Jagged Butcher. Okay. Well, I didn't intend on playing the Soldier, but if we get the basically like virtual 2-for-1 here, I'm pretty happy with that. Need to kind of save some mana. We need to find a way to Nightfall this Diana. So I don't want to be like spewing off this Sunblessed Vigor just for the means of interacting with this Jagged Butcher. Not ideal, but you need this thing to go away. This lets him like play a lead and follow or something, which could be kind of awkward, but we need these elusives to go away. Alright, well, I think the Fallen Comet will have to be the one. We could look at the Warrior as well, but I think I want the spell-based removal here since we already have some mana banked up. We're falling pretty far behind. I was really hoping for the Golden Sister there. Close to flipping our Leona, though. Gotta start preventing damage at some point. This is only 2 though. Let's let that one happen. Leona may be enough to stop him from attacking for the rest of the turn. We're really just kind of like one big lifesteal away. Like a Sunforger next turn would be humongous as a means to just ace this game and get our health way back up. I want to put the 2 damage on something. Let's do it like this so we can try and take this down with Diana next turn. As the Razor Scale Hunter. Don't think Leona's long for this world, but if he has to spend another turn interacting with her, it gives us some more opportunities. Okay. It's the torch can't kill our Diana now. Staying positive. Staying positive, right? Let's at least block with this as a safety measure. Why would do that? Like, what? In what world is that lurk ever good? So. Assume that's just going to go face. Well, it wouldn't be bad to put it on the Earth Elemental. Our current plan is to send the Earth Elemental in front of the Navigator, so maybe he's got something there. Okay. So I don't want to get the Eclipse Dragon going until next turn, so let's do this. We'll just go ahead and play the Ibex. Maybe we'll find a good target for a Trouble Bubble this turn, maybe not. But ideally, we'll just do Zenith Blade, Eclipse Dragon next turn. I mean, we might have turned the corner in this one. Before that Pilfered Goods, he only had 2 cards in his hand, and the Irelia cards don't play that well towards a good late game. Let's get to it. Let's do it like this. We'll put the I guess it doesn't matter. He doesn't have any mana, but we'll put the big blocker in front of his bigger unit. Oh, that's what we needed to get ourselves back in this game. It does leave us open for a good Trouble Bubble this turn as well. If he wants to add some kind of interactive unit for the Sunforger, maybe we get it with the bubble, or if he managed to... You gotta be kidding me. Okay. I think I'm okay with at least just taking down the Island Navigator. What a deflating pickup. It's we have like 2 cards in our deck. I bet the other card he picked up was our Sunburst, because that's the way things go. Okay, it was apparently a Sunforger. That was like the exact card we needed to get back into this game, and then the exact shutdown. Not a bad little pickup for the for the Pilfered Goods there. Okay, anyways, we're over it. We can get our Eclipse Dragon going this turn now. Red way, that's about right.
Lucky you. I'm the last thing you'll see.
Only be taking 1 here. Just make the trade. We're gonna get the Eclipse Dragon going next turn. So don't need to leave like just this random 5 attack unit hanging out on the board. But if we want to spend all of our mana this turn, we can Zenith Blade our Diana, play Eclipse Dragon, and then Zenith Blade our Eclipse Dragon. The board looks like it could support this. Feels like he might be trying to line up a bounce spell. Like Homecomings would make sense. Like the cards that he's just holding on to and not playing do make sense to be bounce spells. So I'm going to spread the Zenith Blade onto the Scamp, just so we aren't all in on our Eclipse Dragon. All right, loading up the elusive. So, I mean, if we survive this next turn, then we should be okay. Between having the Destroyer as a giant, as a giant overwhelm with Spell Shield, we can stun a unit. We have the Zenith Blade Scout kind of thing on the blade on the Stalking Broodmother here. Follower in your hand, okay. And not excited to see him picking up our Eclipse Dragon, but we have the tools we need to deal with it. Alright, so I just picked up a couple of one dragon, one celestial. Let's see how sad we're gonna be here. That was a very manageable one. So we'll start with this Stalking Broodmother attack. Hopefully it looks like it's gonna be enough. Okay. I think we're okay here. Warning shot taking us to 1. Okay, alright. I feel a little bit better now. That deck wasn't constructed how I expected it to be. But I guess whenever I see Irelia, I just assume that everyone's going to be going after a giant pile of Green Glade duos, and it doesn't seem to be the case with what they had assembled there. But okay, easy pickups. We're just going straight Leonas the rest of the way. These are might be like the 2 Daybreak cards that we actually want the least in Zenith Blade and Eclipse Dragon now that we have 4 dragons and 4 blades, but we can't pass up on Leonas here. Alright, but I'm feeling decent now. If we played against the Teemo deck and we're able to be in it, and then we play against opportunity attacks and not get blown out and kind of deal with another problematic matchup, I think we got the tools to take us the distance. I know it's just kind of the way that this Leona deck goes, as to where the interactivity is a weakness. I don't really like being like, okay, well, we got 1 removal spell, 1 trouble bubble, and then a bunch of lifesteal to hopefully make up for early game type problems. We'll look for some of our earlier plays. It's a little bit better. Still kind of an awkward start, but I guess we should probably be expecting a lot of Zenith Blades and a lot of Eclipse Dragons here today. It's Double Fizz with Pike from the Bilgewater Allegiance. They're trying to make this Fizz pool into kind of like an Elusives deck. You know, there aren't enough Elusives in Bilgewater to have it be like a reality at this point, but that's what they're trying to do here. It's like outside of the Slippery Wave Rider at common, all of the elusives are epics, I think, but they're trying. I think that's what they ultimately want to have out of this kind of trickster style Fizz deck. And interestingly enough, here we do have a Nightfall in our Eclipse Dragon, so we have the means to activate the Sky Shadows. I'm not completely opposed to trying to pop this Crackshock Corsair, but I think we will probably be a little bit wiser with our mana and being able to just Zenith Blade the Sky Shadows this turn. And even if he gets like really aggressive with a Make It Rain, we still get the Zenith Blade off of that. So it's not like that spell gets counterspelled if you don't have the mana anymore. Okay, let's offer up a trade. For me. Yeah, I mean, the way that this Fizz deck was initially was like you were supposed to be playing the likes of a. This is fine. You're supposed to be playing the likes of, say, like a Wanted poster. All these spells that generate units, and that was your way to get the Fizz going. It looks like they're changing it to the Elusives, but Nonetheless, this seems okay. I'm not ultra worried about the aggressiveness of this Fizz. I don't feel like he's worthy of a paddle star at this point in time. He's got stone nothing going on here. But should be tough for Bilgewater to interact with this stuff. They probably, I think Monster Harpoon lives in the Pike card pool. But otherwise, just Bilgewater's traditionally horrible at interacting with these cards. The Sunhawks are coming out in force as the means to shut us down. It's at least not a huge shutdown here. The longer this game goes, the better shape we're going to be in. Interesting. I mean, I don't. He does have the value hook onto our Scamp with the Sunhawk. Who cares? Like, really, it's an interesting choice. Just to do 3 damage and kill our smaller unit. Okay. Alright, but we probably need to go ahead and start making a move onto Fizz. So let's try it. Well, we have a ton of Zenith Blades. Let's go ahead and do that first. We'll try to hit him with Paddle Star, and then if that fails, we'll just have to get the eye going. Maybe Fizz will stay his weakest unit. Okay, that's so fine. Pretty close to flipping. Oh, oh, that's gonna change our tune here. Come in and gain this health. And ideally, we'll be able to sunburst down this Fizz. It's not ultra scary, but would like to get him removed from the board. Okay. Seems positive. And what do we think of passing? This depends on the amount of mana he spends here. Okay, Chum the Waters is great. This Fizz is gonna flip, but nothing to stop that. Hopefully we can just kill it here. 2 mana. I mean, Make It Rain costs 2 mana now, so it's not unreasonable for them to have a spell, but the number of spells he could have here is dwindling. Nice. Yep. Okay. Take us to 5. We, oh, damage prevention's pretty bad here. Yeah, it's like, where do we land with the eye, right? As far as potentially having a kill next turn. Probably not possible, but probably have to go for it. Ew. I guess that one's done for. Okay. No. We're a little greedier. We didn't have to die there, but that was kind of tough. Okay, so here with these, I don't want any more Eclipse Dragons. We have just too many up to this point. Starry Scamp's fine. Let's trade out the Earth Elemental to pick up the good combat trick and Pale Cascade. Our curve is my my big worry at this point. Just keep pushing things down. We need to get our opponents to quit stealing our fucking Sunhawks. that has been ultra annoying. It seems like everyone's just managed to steal our Sunhawks with their pilfered goods. Be all right. Still think we're looking okay here. Alright, seems like a reasonable enough start. Don't really have the means to take a lot of advantage of this Diana, but people have to pay her respect. Sonder Ash and the Freylord Allegiance. Okay. I think I'm fine with just passing. We don't have a hand that really supports this like super fast Leona flip, so if we're just gonna have a sunburst hand and be able to bank into it, I think that's okay.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
I have to play something next turn, but here I think this is okay. Big decision. May not want to attack here. Who knows? Right. Cool. We have to start getting things going now. Not the super idealist, but it's okay. We could have Sunblessed Vigored his Avarosian Sentry and then attacked it with Diana. Right? Right? These are the kind of plays that get us straight to the 7 wins. Got to think a lot about this one too. This reminds me, like back in, I'm sure people still do it, but on Magic Online, before leagues were the big, sure, the big gameplay method of choice, which I assume that they still are. I assume people just sit around and play leagues because it's kind of abysmal to join an event and then just have to wait like 20 to 30 minutes between rounds. But to get around having that 20 to 30 minute wait, people would just duel queue. And so you would just leave your opponent having to like sit there for 10 and 15 minutes at a time. It was pretty awful. It was a nice reminder of the awfulness as we sit here and wait on our opponent to do nothing.
The power of the immortal sun. The sun's splendor
But
revealed.
still seems reasonably strong. Like, we don't need to add the Sunforger next turn. We have the means to get a pretty decent round going with the Sunhawk into Diana. With this, we're fine to just take the damage. Would prefer to protect our Leona, at least for a little bit, since she's about to get flipped. Don't think the Zenith Blade changes anything. I want to get on board with our units. Right, we could have played Zenith Blade into Diana instead of Sunhawk into Diana. I think this is good. It's not super important in this deck. Don't feel like we really need to take advantage of her. If she gets an attack onto this Ice Veil Archer and kills it, fine. And then if we get to trade her for something else, then like absolutely beautiful. But this feels like a world where we're just going to be trading this Diana for a Brittle Steel. So he did play a super aggressive Brittle Steel in his previous turn. So I don't know how to read into that. If he's already played it and done, or if he's playing off Brittle Steels just because he has like 3 in his hand. But either way, I'm fine with that. Just to try and take this stuff down. Okay, Leona's a bit awkward, but still good with this Diana.
Delivered me to you once again. Our destinies are entwined. No more lies. Face your heritage.
And then he has a little bit too much mana for me to want to get Leona involved with anything here. Too easy for him to just have a Fury of the North or something to get a shutdown on her. Yep, this is fine. One of his potential ways for a 2-for-1 is gone, and we just traded 2 mana for 2 mana. It's not a big deal whatsoever. Is this worth a Sunburst? Don't have a good answer for it. I think this is okay. can deal with all this other stuff, but these Wild Claws are going to be a bit of a problem, and then Sunbursts aren't going to work on Frozen Thrall. But like once we get our Leona flipped, we have more of the means to just deal with his big units. Let's see if we play a spell onto the Wild Claw. Nope. Okay, makes sense. Alright, our Leona's ready for action though. Really need some Ravoons in this deck though. That's the thing that I feel like we're really lacking now. Whatever this is, I'll take whatever combat trick he has for our Sunhawk. It's not a big deal. And I'd rather his combat tricks be hitting on our smaller units that don't matter as opposed to our bigger ones like Leona or our Sun Forgers. And so if he has a Troll Chant here, I mean, it's just trading a Troll Chant for a Sunhawk. It's not a big deal. Seems like he's been trying to cycle away the Savrosian Sentry for a really long time now. So it seems like he's just shooting for a trade and a card draw. But if he played a Brittle Steel or something here, I wouldn't be super surprised. Sure. There's the Eclipse Dragon. Perfect draw. Perfect draw. Let's load up our Leona. We'll play our Eclipse Dragon and start getting the big boys in here. The big girls, I should say.
A shield for allies, a sword for enemies.
So we definitely need a Morning Light. Frostbite or Leona, sure. We'd like to pick up, you know, some Ravoons. We have definitely have some gaps in our deck here, but I think we definitely have the means for success. There's some dragons. So much shiny. I forgot that I turned our Eclipse Dragon Premium. So it's like such shiny, making such shiny, beautiful stuff. But it seems fine. I think we're just going to take this game over pretty quick now. I was fairly worried about these Frozen Thralls and that it can take us a really long time to get rolling. Like typically, you can get big blowouts with Leonas and Morning Lights, but we don't have any Morning Lights outside of the Leona flip, and so kind of tough to get it going. But we're strong. We're looking good. Oh, goodness. Okay. Gonna entomb something? Okay. Just go ahead and run this out. Worried about the damage coming in here. Seems fine. It's gonna be like 8 turns before we're lethal anyways, so.
You will do as I command.
Okay, so who comes down now? Hitting a Daybreak, not super important. Kind of out of dragons. Gotta double check, make sure this thing getting a dragon. Some of the Celestials count as dragons, but to gain the health. Like I'm leaning towards just getting the eye going. This should be like a full shutdown after this turn. So let's do this. Let's get our attack in. Take him to almost dead. Yeah, it seems like if he just plays a unit, he's going to be able to stop at 8 damage. So, get the big chunk in. We'll play the eye after the fact here. Okay, that's fine. And then between the eye and the Mind Splitter shutting down 4 of his units, I think we should be okay going into our our next turn for just for the humongous open.
You walk the lands once more.
2 to everything? Okay. Alright, well that'll stun his big boy here. This gets us pretty well lined up. Oh, I forgot he cheapens up Celestials too, doesn't he? So we could get the Mortal Fire down cheaper. It's not just dragons that this makes cheaper. Okay. I think we're at the stage of the game where we're just playing cards for the sake of playing cards. Get in there, friends. Yep. GG.
Our deeds will be written in the heavens.
Feels like this video's gone on for 4 hours now. That's what happens when you're out here playing Leonas. Okay, so what can we pick up? Trading out Trouble Bubble is fine. Ibex for the Sunforger would be an upgrade, but I'd rather get rid of Trouble Bubbles. And then the Scan for Star Chart. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but Priestess is too important of a pickup here. She's so frequently just a removal spell. Like, Trouble Bubble's such a bad one, but it fills in, a necessity to whereas, at least with the Priestess, you hit, I think like a third of the time, you hit the, whatever it's called, either the Meteor Shower or the Obliterate. I think this deck here should be pretty aggressive. Well, if he's coming in with the that thing already, then we'll start with the Scamp. But I thought there was a pretty good chance he would play a card that we could hit with the Sunhawk and shut down his entire combat. Seems fine. Makes sense. The old Fishbones. I was wondering if this was going to turn out to be a Fishbones deck. I love it so much. Not a huge fan of this attack. I'd almost like to take this back. I thought we might get something good happening here before we played the Priestess. That feels like against a more standard deck, this is probably pretty reasonable opening, but it's going to be so common for this dude to be dropping a like multiple units or dropping a double trouble and just being much wider than us, and he can just like his big limiting factor here is going to be having 6 spots on the board. Probably have to take the Comet just to deal with Misfortune. So whatever we can trade away here is fine. If he actually attacks with Misfortune and we get to Paddle Star it, that would be great. I just assume that she probably never attacks here. We at least win this combat. Seems good. Good, as long as we have the time. We definitely need to take Misfortune down, so I want to bank the mana here for our Meteor Shower. Ooh, we hit Leona though. I'd rather play her next turn for the flip though, I think. So let's actually just do this. Let's drop the eye. This is just gonna get us a bunch of stuns. And this should give us enough time to get Leona and our Fallen Comet and stuff going. Okay. Oh, that's so dangerous. Like if we had picked up Meteor Shower instead of Fallen Comet and we were able to take down both Misfortune and Jal Hunters, oh, it'd be so big. Is not the case today.
Quite right, quite right.
Oh, We have time to deal with misfortune. Have to just take this thing down. Well, I guess we can paddle star her as well. So this should turn out pretty okay. We can go ahead and do this since it'll prevent that point of damage from her flip ability or her hero power hitting us to the face. Okay, so hopefully we're okay now. I don't think you want to attack with the Jaw Hunters. Alright, Diana, again, a perfect pickup. Doing, we won't call it high rolling when we're doing it, we'll call it above medium rolling. These are some pretty good shots that we're hitting, though. We're also up and ready to drop a stun with the Soldier plus Eclipse Dragon next turn. Hopefully that'll be enough to take this game down. But I think we do want to... Ugh. Oh man, just I take it all back. We are not expecting the Siren to come down. What? Okay, it was a rummage. Like, you seriously have cards here? Nothing in Bilgewater typically lets you deal with this, but okay. So this is pretty worrisome with the double damage misfortunes happening here. But this will at least stun the Siren. Shuts down his shuts down his scout unit, so he only gets one misfortune attack this turn. Is that it? Cutthroat only? Okay. What do we got? Pretty low quality Celestials and Dragons, but they're cards, you know. Picking up cards is good. Why'd she only do one? Oh, while I'm attacking, your spells and skills deal 1 damage. Okay. Gotcha. I didn't realize this had to be attacking. I thought it could just sit there. 2 Taskmasters? Oh, that's a brutal one, giving him a 4 attack unit now. Okay. Let's gain some health, see what we can do here. Stun is 4 attacker now. Gotta overwrite some of this. Let's get rid of this thing. Priestess, good. Get another opportunity to perhaps deal with some of this stuff. And we can get a double stun next turn. Like, I assume he's probably gonna open with the Siren, since his board is full at this point, but after he attacks with the Siren, if we add Sunhawk, it will stun his 4/1 and his Siren. It does limit our ability to Daybreak this Priestess, but that's okay. Ooh, we got a bit Nightfall Dragon. Okay. Actual anything can go in front of this. We need the space on our bench. But now that... yeah, we probably still just have to double stun here. You can see how good Ravoon would be here if he was able to come down and you know, let us play the Priestess after the fact here, or chain together a bunch of Zenith Blades. We're really kind of lacking in that sense, but we don't have it, so there's nothing we can do. Mind Splitter Part 2. Gotta get a flip on Misfortune, which is kind of brutal, but is what it is. She'll flip here. Alright, so we're going to have to make the decision as to if we want to play... let's be real, we probably just have to play the priestess. Try to find either of the removal spells to take her down. Okay. No more card draw for us. So do we want to actually open first, though? Or do we want to get some of this stuff stunned? Can't attack with Leona this turn now. We should probably priestess. So we at least hit the comet. I was hoping for the deal 4 damage one so we could take down, say, Misfortune and the Cutthroat, since the Cutthroat's gonna be fairly scary here, but this is okay. Doesn't have particularly good blocks on the Protector. So let's go ahead and get him down before we play our Meteor Shower. And then we want to get our attack in first. I don't want him to I don't want to kill Misfortune, then him play a unit and then us attack. I want him to have to throw his dudes away and then try to get his stuff involved here. I think this is good. The Cutthroat's a little scary, but we're starting to get to the point to where we can get these Sunforgers on the board as well. Okay. Down some big attack units there.
You've got dangerous eyes. I like that. Not just the eyes, you know.
Okay, so I think we're okay now. I think. Uh-oh. Oh, those are going to have 3 attack apiece, aren't they? Oh, man. Right here at the end. Lame-o. All right. I thought we were getting our way back into this one. Dang. Is that it? It's impossible for me to remember because these games take forever. Are we still in it, or is that the end of our trial? Okay, we're still in it. The trade picks are here. Here's our Ravoon. We have to take Ravoon. I would love to pick up a second Sunburst, but he's just way too important. If we had a single turn that game, or a couple turns that game to where we could chain off a bunch of Daybreaks, it would have been so good, but it just wasn't in the cards without having Ravoon in our deck. Alright, this might be the largest viewer value video of all time. See if we can't get a 13 gamer in 4.5 hour video. Y'all are welcome. This is how I spend my free time. You guys are welcome. Maybe this is what'll push us over 500 subscribers. The last time I looked, we were sitting at 490, 491. Almost pushing 500. Pretty cool. Cool. It's good to know there's a bunch of people out there enjoying the old Runeterra expeditions. But all right, back in action here. I did see in the comments section someone said that Disruption Darius has been replaced with Swain. I don't know if that's the case here, but we'll see if we get any kind of indication with that as to what's happening. I haven't looked up that card pool just yet. Historically, Disruption Darius was absolutely horrible, unless paired with Yasuo. So we'll see. Excuse me, I would say that they probably went ahead and added a Ravenous Flock in with this as well or something, but okay. This is working out reasonably well. We can get a Zenith Blade going and then follow up with Diana after the fact, so that we're keeping all of our manas efficient here. Looking good. We got our Leona, we got our Ravoon. Working out nicely. And we'll try to take down this young witch. There's a chance this fails. There's also reasonable argument that we shouldn't be attacking with the Solari Soldier just in the event of Whirling Death, but this is fine. We got a spell out of Diana that's more than we are expecting. We're hoping to just get a trade, and so we get a little bit more out of her in the future. That would be fine, but she's made her worth.
Wherever I go, you are never far behind. When night falls, I know that you are with me.
Seems like a awkward start from opponents. Sparring Student's not something you typically see in these style of decks. He typically lends himself to playing well in the more token style decks, or if you have like a Zed or an Irelia, it doesn't really play well with Yasuo Swain. So it'd be a touch of an awkward opener for opponent here. But I think this is okay. We do risk. Let's just swing with everything. We do risk losing something to the likes of a Custom Palm's fine. The likes of a Twin Disciplines, but otherwise, he has to make the decision to if he wants to take down Ravun or if he wants to take down Leona, and I'm kind of happy with that either way. Nowhere near getting lethaled here. We're looking pretty strong.
The advantage is mine.
Okay. Just take the Meteor Shower. We can get 2 units off of the board with this. That'll be fine. We'll keep the mana banked into next turn. We can try and pop the Life Blade and the Sparring Student before he's able to add units to the board. I'll hold the Starry Scamp as well. I just completely forgot this guy was in our hand. Assumed we weren't going to be playing him, but okay. Just passing with 6 mana. That's insane. He's gonna have a. He's gonna have the likes of a like Intimidating Roar or something. Gust of Palm here would be slightly awkward, but I think this is fine. And this should just be in kind of like blowout territory here now. So we'll add the Shield Breaker. This will stun Yasuo. We'll put a Zenith Blade onto our Ravun. It's going to stun another unit, and then we should be pretty good to just get an attack in here. I don't think it's lethal. It didn't quite do any mathematics. I always assume they're just going to have a Concussive Palm or something, but I think we're looking pretty strong. Thinking about it now. Now's the time for the stun. Okay. that was supremely awkward for opponent. There's not a lot it seemed like they could do there. They drew weird halves of their deck, and so passing with 6 mana never feels like a good feel. Okay, well, here's another Leona. Good. The Priestess Ravun. Perfect stuff. Looking good here. Okay. Alright, I'm hydrated now. We're ready. Let's get this battle going. Hey, look, it's giving us the Daybreak tip. Daybreak units rouse with the sun and get their bonuses when you play them as the first card in the round. Good stuff, team. Good to get the tip before we get started in the game. Okay, weird set of champions. Wonder if he started out like Zoe Pike and then just got misfortune because she's the only champion there that isn't bad. Zoe's a good champion, but Pike on the other hand, Pike is not a good champion. It's not really his fault though. His theme here isn't that great. And now that we're up to 3 Leonas, I'm more okay with just running out the full Daybreak curve here. So we may not find her by the 4th turn or have her flipped on the 4th turn, but these units are quality enough to just go ahead and throw down here, I think. know if he's going to have a lurk, but, you know, KOing them on an attack here has to be pretty good. Just take that possibility away from him. Oh. Oh, there she is. Let's get our attacker on board, and Leona can come down next turn. Okay. Seems pretty terrible for opponent. Or they would just not play something if they either just don't have anything, or if, I mean, don't have to worry about vulnerables against the Targon Allegiance. Wow. And playing against the lurkers, they're just like, please don't interact with me. Please don't. Please no. Alright, there's some good stuff. Have a pretty challenging time recovering from this. We're just going to get the full stuns everywhere with this eye. Things are looking pretty strong here. Okay. Alright, well you can take down our soldier. That lurk is guaranteed. Alright, so I was just going to throw down the eye, but now that we've picked up Diana, I think this is a little bit safer here. Written in the Stars does give us a 66% chance to hit Leona, but I think we probably just want the removal spell here. The Morning Light would be particularly good here, but kind of need a Ravoon on the board for it to really pop off.
The ocean charts our course. Fate has delivered me to you once again. Our destinies are
Yeah, I'm just going to slam the squad. You know, if he wants to get a value block onto our 3/2, it's okay. Getting in for the 7 damage. He's almost lethal here. This is another good spot to just go ahead and drop the Eye of Rahurak. I figure we'd probably have a pretty decent open for it next turn. And we could just go for the Meteor Shower. It's pretty strong here as well. Double stun next turn with the Sunhawk. Okay. Sure. Sorry, Pike. You don't get to attack this game. Feels a little aggressive, but I don't think we need to worry about our Leona. We have a protective spell should we need it. Need to block any of this. We can just shut down his whole team next turn. Okay. So there's 2 stuns, and then we can add Ravoon. I guess this still works out fine. I was kind of like wanting to ensure that we got the double stun with the Sunhawk, but Ravoon still lets us pull that off, so works reasonably for me. Hey. Looking good, team. What can we do here? All right, this will be our 3rd Ravoon. That'll get us, you know, we've got enough now. I don't think we need to worry about any more of these. Just got to kind of clean things up here. But I would prefer to have Gifts from Beyond over Paddlestar. You can do lots of just utility things with this, whether or not it's giving out an Overwhelm or stalling with the lifesteal or the various deal some damage kind of things. But I think this Ravoon is just a little bit more important. Okay, Lurkers Part 2. At least a couple pikes here. Let's take a look. probably reasonable to hang on to Diana. I just worry about how quickly we'll be able to get her down, but it is one of our few ways to actually interact here, and if we don't play the soldier here, then we can't get her going on the third turn. Seems like what we're going to need to do. This picking up the double Eclipse Dragon is not what one would call ideal, but we can also do the thing we did in the previous game to where we just bank 2 mana next turn, put a sword onto our soldier, and then get her that way. I think that's okay. I would like to be able to... Oh, we can't block this anyways because it's going to have Fearsome. That's a little awkward. I was going to say, I'd like to have a blocker for this thing because he's going to try and push the lurks as quickly as he can, but it's fine. It's going to be almost guaranteed to have one anyways. Wonder if we put a Rek'Sai on top. Oop, just a regular lurk. It wasn't a pike. It didn't have the eyeballs in it. Bit of an awkward start. Not the end of the world. You're a big boy now, Solari Soldier. Ready to come out here and block all the fearsomes. Okay. Snap that one off. I'd say it's kind of interesting there. Oh, I guess he wanted to add the Snapjaw Swarm. Okay. That was with the Rek'Sai as well? Sure.
By the moon's crescent blade.
Right, this feels like a reasonable trade. I assume he does this never. Wow. Wow, that seems really good for us. I guess we just get the block out of it next turn anyways, but this is like ultimately my problem with the lurker mechanic. I guess it's not so much the mechanic, but so much the cards that are in the game right now. Is, you know, he's invested a Feral Prescience. He's played a Call of the Pack, which is fine. It replaces itself. And, you know, he's just put all this work into getting his lurkers going. But now it's just like, oh, I'm going to block this one with a, with a soldier. If you're playing the Bilgewater copies, I'll just throw Diana in front of one. That's completely fine with me. Like, they just don't have the means to survive this stuff. You really have to chase down the Overwhelm one and the Epic one, or this has to just feel abysmal for opponent, where we're just acing all of his investment with a 1 mana card. It's technically a 4 mana card. We did play Zenith Blade on it, but the point still stands. And we'll see if he adds something to the board here. I mean, he should have Rek'Sai in his hand. So I don't want him just like... I doubt he wants to just play her anyways, but I don't want him getting good blocks on any of our things. And since he does have so much lurk now, like if we add Ravoon, there's just a humongous chance that he's able to, you know, do the flip side and put his like 5/2 unit in front of our Ravoon. That's not a trade I want to make. You gonna be like a death from below? Okay. Okay. Alright, then the big reason I don't like to play Pike is he's had to physically draw Pike, put Pike on top of his deck, and then, you know, get him again in the future. It takes quite a bit of work to actually pull all that off. Play a unit capable of taking down Rek'Sai. Oh. I mean, if we block the Pike, does he just kill all of our team? Is that how that works? Yeah. Okay, so we'll just block over here and leave the Pike for now. Not sure how we're going to get an answer to that. Oh, I guess he doesn't survive the combat, right? Now that he doesn't have quick attack. Seeing that's how it works. We'll see. We're going to attack, and I guess if all of our units die, then we were wrong. But does that just kill all of our units? If so, he's going to come back and then kill all of our units. Is that how that goes? Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we're not quite out of this just yet. Go up to 15. We can take a hit. Yeah, to get good Eclipse Dragons going next turn. Another way to go about it. So I'd say this game is probably done, but let's take we'll just take this hit. We'll see if we can't get something else going. Might need a Sunburst or an Obliterate. It's worried we're gonna not be able to attack through this Rek'Sai now. Oh no, we already Daybroke? Shit. Sure. But ultimately, like that just feels like such a huge high roll, right? If you have to, number one, physically draw Pike. Number two, have to have a way to put Pike on top of your deck, or you just have to be the luckiest person on the planet, which is probably what what we'll say all of our opponents have been doing. But this feels like a reasonable trade, right? The Shield Bearer for the Sunhawk. I think I'm okay with this. Just we're not trying to do anything too aggressive here. But no, like imagine that game. If either like we had drawn Leona at any point in the game, and we had the options to just like shut down his units so they can't attack. Like if you can't attack with lurks, then the whole ability it just doesn't work. Thing number two is it takes like so much work to actually get that Pike going. That, kind of is what it is there. But I'll be like really surprised if we see these Pike decks as we make our way to the final battle. Like if you get to the 7 winner, I'm really curious what that deck looks like. But, anywho, on to the action. I do worry about these Frozen Thralls coming down, but we don't have a hand that can really contest that at the moment. But we got to do something. We got to spend our mana somehow here. For me, I wouldn't suspect too much of a Yeti's theme if that's what he's doing. We probably shouldn't have to worry about Tall Tales and Trappers coming down. Let's get a bit of this going at least. Can get into combat with this Stefan if he wants. Glad to throw Diana into this after it's taken a few points of damage. So you Solari Soldier, you get all of the Zenith plates today. Shouldn't be like too obvious that shenanigans are afoot, right? I mean, I assume that he just has like a brittle steel or something here, like 100% of the time. I don't think this Diana is long for the world, but it doesn't seem too shenanigan-y. I feel like the previous turn he was also considering just playing an Elixir of Iron, but I think this Diana's done for here, but it's still worth it. Oh, and then the times when it's successful, it's so nice. It is getting a little worrisome with this Frozen Thrall getting to be a little on the meteor side of things. Nice pickup in the Sunburst. about to get rolling here, so hopefully this is okay.
I am the bulwark against darkness. Thirst light illuminates the land. Bask in the light's radiance. Look alive now. Azir welcomes all.
Okay, we can shut this down as well. We can get like a double stun this turn, but that doesn't seem super exciting. I think we probably want to either protect our soldier or our Diana. We just want the double stun. Double stun doesn't seem that bad. Gonna block our biggest non-overwhelm unit with the yearling, so we'll just go ahead and call that Ravoon. Taking like 4, 8, 10. This kind of thing feels like I want that 2 turns from now.
A beam of light to pierce the heavens.
This seems pretty reasonable as well. If he has a troll chant, it's not that bad. Okay, blocking the overwhelm. That's interesting. Surprised he wouldn't just come over here and block Ravoon. There you go. Sure. So it could have some like minus attack cards. I don't suspect these are gonna fall. This feels like it probably wants to be a troll chant. Maybe not. Just no tricks whatsoever today. I think we have like a couple of options here. We can't. Well, I do think I like this. Let's just spread out the overwhelm. So let's do a Zenith Blade here onto Leona. We can look to play Ibex onto Ravoon, and then next turn we can come in with a bunch of stuns as well. We can get a double stun from the Sunhawk. We can play another Zenith Blade onto our Ibex. I think this is looking fine. And get him like 1 turn before the Frozen Thrall comes online. It's not even that scary, right? We have the means to stun this thing quite a bit. Not letting any combat tricks happen. Just take this damage. It's not super relevant. We're gonna have at least 3 stuns coming in. We can play 4 with our last remaining Zenith Blade. Or we can Morning Light as well. That'll be enough to end it. We're gonna get these 2 stuns. We'll get the stun from playing the Morning Light. Then since we have Ravoon on the board, we'll get the additional Daybreaks out of Leona and Sunhawk. Just doesn't matter what he plays. We're just stunning everything. Can have the likes of something like a Harsh Winds here, but it's going to be pretty tough to find your way through this. All the stats, we've got an additional card, 3 stuns. Got him. Deal, good deal.
The words of the heretic rang true.
Okay, what are we gonna be doing here? It's like the big things and the problems that we have here. Like, we don't need any more top end, so I don't really want this Eclipse Dragon. I want to hang on to our 1 eye. The big things, I would like to find a Morning Light, just to specifically have that 1 card, and then just cheaper units at this point. And so if we aren't getting cheaper units or meeting any of that criteria, I don't really want to chase any of that down. I could see an argument for trading out Sunforger for Sun Guardian, but I think there's like a lot of games that the Sunforger just wins us because it comes down and gains so much health, as opposed to those very few games where this Daybreak is relevant. And so I'm going to hang on to our Sunforgers over the Guardian. Final battle. Better hydrate beforehand. Hope y'all are hydrating as well. Very important. All right, I'm ready. So yeah, this is coming together nicely. I do worry that we don't have enough early game. Quite a few decks that can just come in and run over us, but otherwise, we certainly have all of the late game tools and all of the Daybreak invokes that one could need. Okay, okay. I like Mimi Zim style here, coming in with the Hecarims and the Maokais. Dude knows what's up. Okay. That's back to this consideration. Did we want to just lead off with the Solari Soldier? Or potentially play it on his turn too? I think we should probably just start with it. I have to imagine a lot of their early game involves just playing like Warden's Praise and Hapless Aristocrats. Um, they do have the 2/3 at 2 mana, which is kind of awkward, but otherwise, uh, like the 2/3 that gives your ephemerals +1/+1. But then they also, on the flip side of the coin, could be stuck playing the 3/2 that gives us support 2/0 and ephemeral. And so I think this guy's probably a safe play as opposed to trying to be defensive next turn. And also a pretty reasonable chance we don't have a lot of good opportunities to block if he's going to be like dropping Shark Chariots here. Didn't expect the Sea Scarab, but I don't think anyone really would. Do we want to boost our unit or get the Daybreaks go or get the Priestess going? I think it was probably fine just to boost here. Not any real removal spells he could be playing at this point to punish us. Okay, so that's going to be 3 tokens and 3 tosses. I don't think I'm worried about the damage here. It's number 3. Not worried about him going deep, but he is starting to get his Maokai leveled up a bit. Okay, what's our mana situation here? I do kind of like the warrior. Can play the warrior next turn and put a Zenith Blade on it. We miss out on the Daybreak doing this, but I think that's okay. Or do we do? Let's be real. Let's just add Ravoon at this point.
Blessed daylight surrounds you.
I think we are going to get good usage out of the warrior here. Wrigley Collector's a little on the scary side, but I think we'll be okay. Pretty far away from deep. Oh, you lost your Shark Chariot. Okay. You got it. Okay. Yeah, I think the collector is going to be our main priority here. Let's just go ahead and lead off with a stun. Gonna shut down a ton of damage out of this thing. I would like to bank some mana into next turn, but we'll be at 7. We just need 1 if we want to make a play with the warrior and a Zenith Blade. We just picked up Sunburst. I think we could probably save the Sunburst for next turn. Let's try to get in a big chunk of overwhelm damage here. Do have to worry about the Sea Scarab going deep, though. Let's see how he spends his mana. So he's not playing a think we just go here. He's not going to play a Vengeance because he's tapped all his mana. I don't want to get hit with a Crumble, though. That would be kind of awkward. And we do have 2 combat tricks in our hand, so we might get something useful out of this turn. The aces his whole board except for 1 unit, and then also he's going to go deep with this next turn. Let's go ahead and Pale Cascade just to keep a unit on the board. We'll keep the Sunblessed Vigor on backup here. Seems extremely good for us. I think we can beat a Maokai here, even if he comes down flipped. He's far away from being flipped, though. It's good. The Black Spear Part 2. Protect the warrior, can't protect Ravoon. Alright. So this will go deep next turn. We can just pop it with a Sea Scarab, but I'm not like super worried about it at this point. Roll Doom Beast, sure. I don't know what we would care about more, but at this stage we can just put a unit in front of it. Not worry about it too much, but sucks. That sucks, my man. Yeah, we'll just take care of it. We drew a combat trick, so we can kind of pick and choose what we want to deal with here. The Doom Beast attack is bad. We can just take 4 from Rekindler and not worry about it. Yeah, look good. Oh, hey, what up, Leona? Alright, she changes things, but we have the mana now to double stun his team, so we should be lethal here. He can have some amount of removal spells that make this awkward, but sorry, my man. It's just not in the cards for you today. Alright, right to the final battle. We rattled off a bunch of wins after we got past that second one, right? But still probably just going to be like a 3 hour and 45-minute video instead of 4 hours. But let's check out our trades here. We can trade out Paddlestar for Priestess number 6. We can also, I think I just want to trade the Vigor for the Sunhawk. What do we have, 2 Vigors? I think that's fine. This Paddlestar is so bad, though. I do worry about having too many of these invokes, though. They take so much mana. I think we're probably fine with 5. Let's pick up more Sunhawks. I think we should hang on to this Vigor. I would like to pick up Morning Light, but not at the cost of a Sunburst. And then I'm actually okay picking up Astral Protection here. It's one of the combat tricks I'm more than okay with. It could be a big swing that nobody really expects to come out. And I think we stay with 3 Ravoon. Again, we've talked about the Sun Forger for Sun Guardian trade, and I don't want the flight, so we can skip over that. Only 3 trade picks. We must have lost a lot of games in this trial. But not bad, not bad. Okay, so yeah, the bottom end of our curve, a little dangerous, but otherwise, I think we're okay. Right, I would imagine the way that these units have come together. Oh yeah, Sherma in here as well. I was gonna say there's the new Brutality card pool with LeBlanc and Kindred. So curious that's how you end up in Shadow Isles, but anywho, okay. Let's see, we're on the odds. So what is there ever a world where we want to keep this Paddlestar just to try and take down a LeBlanc? I think we probably have enough answers to her in the Sunhawk and buying time with the Priestess. Okay, just gonna keep passing. Not in a real hurry here. Feeling a little bit better about not picking up a ton of any more Solar Priestesses. This is brutal though. Oh, buddy. Oh, this is so big if this stuns LeBlanc. Nice. Nice. Okay, alright. We got enough priestesses for the day. What do we want to take here? Probably just take the removal spell in the meteor shower. Well, I could see an argument for picking up a Written in the Stars, but he's got like the 1 health unit on the board. This is going to be such a good meteor shower next turn. Okay. Oh, we could have attacked with Sunhawk. That doesn't seem too greedy, but oh, that's how you get right back in the game. Take some of this down. 2 and 1. Kind of want to keep the Sunhawk around. We might, if we get this up to 5 health, it can come in and deal with the Assessor. We'll have to see how that rolls out. Let's gain a bunch of health. If this just trades with the Assessor, that turns out to be pretty good for us. But, I mean, the LeBlanc. Okay, let's see how this goes. This makes him, it takes away his block with the Assessor. If he has like a, like the LeBlanc strike, whatever that thing's called, the bloody business, that would have been pretty bad. But now this makes him like, put a sharpened resolve on the Assessor, or if he doesn't have a trick, then you just can't interact with this Sunforger. He's around for 2 turns. It's extremely good for us. Okay, has to attack now.
Is it really so obvious?
I don't think he has an answer for this. He's not playing this like he has another combat trick to deal with the Sunforger, so I think this attack is probably good. Okay. Well, maybe maybe he was playing like he had a trick. And he's in another spot to where this open looks pretty good. I have to assume he wants to open here. What we get for assuming things. But we do have this like ultimately like super awkward hand. I think, it is nice to get a stun off this Leona, but I think we have to just see what we can get with the Daybreak. Golden Sisters, who we need. Gotta have this lifesteal at some point. And if he wants to play his stun now to keep us from blocking, we can still follow up with Leona. Don't get the stun out of her, but getting her on board is pretty important here. Here comes the thunder. Okay. Righty, little scary here. Let's see if we can't recover. Does still have that guile in his hand, which is a kind of a pain in the butt. He can shut down something, but I think we're starting to look a little bit better here. Start with the Priestess and see what turns up. Another like Meteor Shower again would be like super good here if we're able to take down LeBlanc plus a Trifarian. And then of course we don't have Ravoon to let us get 2 invokes here, but alrighty, I guess that's the one we're taking. Meteor Shower, beautiful. Okay, and then we probably also want to play the Sunhawk just to get another dude on the board. But that was huge hitting the Meteor Shower here. There are 2 ways around that. So weird, he's not spending any mana. Why would he not be spending mana here? How bad is it if his card is Sharpened Resolve? Oh, well, we have to deal with this thing. If he has a Sharpened Resolve, we probably would lose either way, depending on whether or not we hit the LeBlanc or if we hit the Savage Reckoner. But like we can block LeBlanc for a while, and he can generate mimics. Like good job. But ugh, that's the painful one. Okay. The opens do believe we're dead, but this attack is still good. Just don't have the toughness to make our way through the Reckoner. Oh, if he doesn't open though, we just got the double on the Sunhawk. Shutting down the LeBlanc Reckoner would be huge. Ugh, damn. Okay, well, it's a little bit too awkward here. My big worries for this deck came to fruition in that um, we just didn't have enough early game. Like the exact reasoning I passed up on taking the sixth Daybreak dude uh, was as you could see there. We did get a ton of value out of him, but we just didn't have enough stuff to put down on the board. We needed to be in a place to where we could play 2 cards in a turn, and we were only ever in a place where we could play 1 card in a turn. And so it was tough. I was hoping that we could come in here and trade for more soldiers, Sunhawks, and we even got rid of our shield bearer. But the early game plays, as long as you can get these games to go late, your Eclipse Dragons will carry you, but you have to actually get to that point. And that's the big value in the Sunforger, the big value in those early game dudes. And so I don't think we ever passed on them. If we did, we didn't pass on very many of them, and that was a struggle. I feel like we probably took everyone that we saw because we were super worried here at the end of the draft about not having enough Eclipse Dragons, and so it took us a little while to get rolling. But nonetheless, a pretty good trial, especially after we struggled so much there in the beginning. Again, like I feel like we've been running into these decks to where maybe it's just because we played the Green Glade Duo deck in our previous trial, but as to where some of these decks just have like really bad matchups, in the sense that if we play against like a Green Glade Duo deck, we're probably going to lose. That was why I was worried in those initial matchups to where we played what I thought was going to be a Green Glade Duo deck, and then some other deck that you really. Oh, we played Teemo was the other one, which you just have to be able to interact with, and we can't. And so, yeah, that was kind of like awkward. We were playing the when we were playing the Green Glade Duo deck yesterday. It's just like, oh, we're playing Piltover, we're probably going to lose, or got paired up against like random Freylord dude. We're probably just never losing this game. It's really weird how some of these decks have super good matchups and super bad matchups. But again, as far as this deck here in itself goes, kind of like once you realize that you are in the Leona deck, there's basically 2 things that you'll see show up. There's the Daybreak deck, which we were dealing with here, and then there's the Mountain Scryer deck, which we won't talk about. But the Targon Allegiance tends to come together with either Malphite or with Leona, and that both the other Leona card pool has the Mountain Scryer, and it's also in the Malphite pool. So we'll skip over talking about that, and then just specifically back to Daybreaks here. The kind of like main things you're looking for. The main things you have to take into consideration are number 1, you don't have any removal spells, and so the only thing that you have access to is Sunburst. You have to be like really aggressive in taking all the Sunbursts that you can. I know that we passed on 1, but you can kind of make exceptions when you get up to having 5 Solari Priestesses, right? Because the Solari Priestess comes out here and pretty commonly generates removal spells. But most importantly, taking the Sunbursts, Paddle Star, and Sneaky Trouble Bubble can fill in. You do find yourself taking these cards just in the sense that you're like, excuse me, just in the sense that you're like, well, I can't have nothing. I can't have a deck with no removal and no interaction in it. So fine, I'll take a Paddle Star just so I have something. But ideally, you'll be able to cycle these out of your deck before you get to the end of the trial. Thing number 2, you do need to find some Ravoons. You could definitely see the difference in those games to where we had Ravoon on the board and the ones where we didn't. Then and the ones where we didn't, it's like, well, I guess I can play like 1 card, and then I really need to hold on to everything else because I want to be chaining a Daybreak every turn. And you just have like a really hard time getting ahead on board if you aren't able to play multiple cards in the same turn. It's like, well, I don't want to just be like without a Zenith Blade, or I can't add the Stun Bird to the board because I'm not going to get a stun. And so Ravoon fixes all of those problems. I think when I was like initially talking about Leona in yesteryear, in days past, I would basically describe Leona decks. There'd be like two branches of Leona decks as far as your binary tree goes. There would be the Leona Daybreak decks with Ravoon and those without. And those without would just be garbage. And then you would kind of carve out a niche of good Ravoon decks and bad Ravoon decks. And so he's extremely important to really get the game rolling in that sense. Otherwise, you're really just looking to keep your curve as absolutely low as you can. You don't have any real trouble generating enough late game when you have Ravoon and you have Eclipse Dragon, because they just generate so many cards that you don't need a whole lot of top end. But as you could see in that last game, you will find yourself in some spots to where you just need to get dudes on the board. You just need to have blockers until your Eclipse Dragons and your Ravoons will come online. The Solari Sunforger does help a bit in that sense, but you really need to be like, after the way you kind of like have to tier things are is like, okay, do I have one Sunburst? Then that can drop down a little bit. And then it's like, well, do I have one or two Ravoons? Okay, then that can drop down a little bit. And then once you've hit like one Sunburst and two Ravoon, then you can really be like, okay, I'm really just going to take every cheap card that is thrown in my direction, because we can get a little bit of fallout in the late game as finding like additional closers, but these early game plays are just so extremely tough to find, right? Because if it really boils down to it, we can play a Beyond the Infinite, or we can play a Star Shaping, we can play any just general invoke and have that count as late game. But if your deck just doesn't have one drops in it, they're pretty tough to actually find in Targon, and so that's why we pay so much mind to them here. I think the last kind of cards I haven't had a moment to speak on. With Zenith Blade, the preferred number is 3. I would rather have 2 than 4, but I'll probably rather have 4 than 1. And so, if that helps you out any, 3 is the preferred number. You can see where we kind of got a little over Zenith Bladed in some of those games. But I would rather have less than more. 4 is just a little bit too many. You don't want to be drawing them in multiples. You really just want to draw the one copy and have that one copy draw your additional ones. Drawing multiple copies of it typically feels pretty bad. And then the last card I wanted to talk about was Morning Light. You can see how extremely powerful Morning Light is. We just kind of like blew people out when we played it with Leona and Ravoon on the board. It does play extra well now with the Solari Sunhawk getting that extra stun in there. But it's a card you want 0 to 1 of. So I wouldn't be super upset if you didn't pick one up, but it's most definitely going to take down some games you didn't deserve. And then the games that you're probably going to win like 5 turns from now takes a lot of the top deck potential away from your opponent, just helps you ace those games super quickly. But not a bad little trial. But that will do it for us today. I think we do have some kind of shiny things going on out here. It looks like we got a wild capsule, some prismatic rewards. Let's see what else rewards show up, and we'll call it a day. Something in the prismatic box. What do we got? A bunch of units. We're running out of prismatics to pick up. Let's pick up the Sinister Poro though. I'm feeling okay with that. We might draft a Braum with the Shadow Isles one day. I'd rather draft Braum with Shadow Isles than with Bilgewater. So we picked that one up. I think there's some kind of loot thing up here. Oh, another prismatic chest. Go us. What do we got? Coming in with the rares. Alrighty. I don't like Iron Harbinger whatsoever, but you are a unit, and that's kind of our tier list of picking up the prismatics. Okay, well that will do it for us today. Hope we added a little daybreak to your day, a little sunlight to your day, however that should go about. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.